speaking. Today's topic, Croissants Gems, episode number 7 on how to get the perfect BDM role for you. Thank you again to the 18-year-old student who sent us an email and said exactly what she wanted us to cover in one of our webinars. And so it's important, yes, as you are getting ready for work life, and when you are already in a work life, but you're looking for that dream job, not just a job that will pay your bills, but a job that really will help you to do what you love doing, a job that will help you reach for the stars, a job that will allow you to, set and reset your personal best, and most importantly, a job that will help you to make an impact and a difference in the economic world today. That's really what today is all about. But the question is, how do you go about it? Obviously, there is a recruitment process that all of us have gone through in the past, and also will possibly go through pretty much in the near future or later on. I remember when I first went for my first role after I graduated as a psychologist from university, that I was in the what I call the tendering machine, or the machine in which they shove a whole lot of people and then they spin it around. And all that meat that went into it, at the end you get like a sausage that rolls out, and it's prefabricated sausage. Well, I call this a tendering machine. When we are recruiting or when we are looking for a job, we go through that same process as well. We are looking to be compared to a whole lot of people. We're all put into the same treadmill, and then at the end, as they churn through it all, and they read your resume, they read your cover letter. And they compare people, through interviews and possibly here and there a few assessment centers and the likes, maybe a bit of psych testing as well. After all of that, at the end, they will come out with the so-called product. And in the best case, that will be you. That will be you that will then really obtain that job that you really have put a lot of work into to obtain. But one thing before I will give you some examples and ideas on how to, structure that cover letter, how to re-edit your, oops, all right, we got a little issue. Somebody's trying to log in and isn't getting there. So let me just quickly, you can see it's always very authentic here. It's always live. So I'm just gonna go and just send that quickly here to him. Normally that should work. And we're back here. All right, so before I actually dive into those very tools that I will be giving you, I want to ensure that you are very conscious about a few things before we look at the specifics. One thing that I'd like to say to you, if you haven't been in a role of a BDM yet, meaning a business development manager, some people think it's glamorous because many BDMs, they travel a lot. They travel extensively, either within the same country, a certain region, or internationally. I was in one of those roles where I actually traveled in all of them, and I actually traveled a whole lot of them. And here's the thing that I'd like to somehow put next to it to ensure that you see that it isn't always as glamorous as, most importantly, it looks initially. I remember one year that I spent 200 nights in a hotel in 1 year, and that was just for work. Now think about what it does in terms of on your social life, your family life, your personal life, the sports you want to play with your team. What I'm talking about is that it does come with quite a bit of sacrifice, because the great thing about a BDM is that you're a pioneer. In a way, you are an entrepreneur. You get budgets and trust and endorsements for people that say, you know what, we see that you're the right fit. Go out and make it happen. Here you got your phone, here you got your laptop, here you got your car, here you got a budget to spend to entertain clients, to take hotels and the likes, and pay for food and drinks and the likes. You need to really know that this is not an easy feat. If you are thinking of planning, having a lot of time off and going from 9 to 5, guess what? BDMs or a role as a BDM is not for you. It is just not for you. Equally, if you think that it's about, maintaining relationships with a lot of people that you already know, guess what? BDM is not for you. If you are somebody who, who just likes to be comfortable, The word comfortable is great for our clients because we want to help our clients be comfortable about taking our products and service and expertise on. But on our role as a BDM, we can never rest on our laurels. We can never get complacent, never become comfortable, because as soon as we do, our pipeline suffers, and so will also our revenue. And as an extension of that, our salary. So it's important that we are very consistent shooters, that we're not the ones that are excited today once, and then tomorrow somebody says no, and there goes our emotion down again, and have that emotional roller coaster. So the point of this all here, all these examples that I'm giving you, is just for one key thing. What point is it? If I help you to get the job that you want, only later on, 3, 6, 9, 12 months later, to understand that it wasn't the right fit for you. My point is that I really want you to find the job that is right for you. And if that's the BDM role, perfect. Continue listening and watching this video, all right? That's perfect. So the idea is really for you to join in and really have that sort of very honest and candid conversation with yourself. If you are prepared to put in the extra time, if you are prepared to work after hours, if you are prepared to spend a lot of time away from family, friends, your loved ones, and the likes, if you are prepared to sacrifice on your team sports or other activities that you enjoy doing on a regular basis, it does mean that you will need to get out of your comfort zone and throw yourself in the deep end. I remember again, as when I got promoted in my first time, when I was heading into new territories for the company that I worked for. It was a Fortune 500 company that they asked me to step into this role. No previous RSM, Regional European Sales Manager, had ever been in that role before. And so there was no data. There was only a few clients we had. The only real information about the entire territory, which was Scandinavia, the Baltics, and the likes, was all based on what people told us who were already doing business with us. And all of them, they like to believe that they were the #1 in their countries. And guess what? Some of them, they were not, and actually be quite far of it, as my personal research showed. But that was all on the back of, for example, sometimes 3 weeks solid time on the road in a car with a suitcase with all my suits in there, and just not knowing exactly where I would stay for the next night, not knowing what I would have to eat and where I would eat it. Luckily enough, I didn't have to go with a bow and arrows to shoot the deer in the bushes and stuff, and then put it on a roast to eat it. But the point of the story is, it took a lot of time. It took a lot of planning. It took a lot of time afterwards to put my data together. And then, the process of recruiting the right people on our team was then the next part of it. And it took a long time. And so the last thing I wanted to say is, how easily do you deal with rejection? Because as a BDM, you are paid to go and see complete strangers, build rapport and a relationship with them, and find the right people for you to work with, and them also that they are the right clients for you, and do really good, successful business with them over time. Not just once, not just twice, but over time, and build it from there. You are paid to do that as a BDM. And do you think that everybody is somehow welcoming you straight away and saying, hey, come in? Yes, of course, we will drop our current suppliers, our current vendors, and yes, come in, show us your products. It's not like that, obviously. I'm making a bit of turning it a bit into a bit of a joke, but the point is really this: nobody really is waiting or is instantly prepared to take you on unless they've got serious issues. So those would be the easy wins. But there's so few of them, which means 99.9% you will be spending a lot of sweat equity, possibly some tears, right? A lot of time, a lot of emotions, a lot of energy. You will put a lot of that into your business development activities to eventually, with a bit of luck, with you putting good processes in place, with you being systematic, when you say that you will follow up, that you do follow up, that you're professional about it, that you don't pressure people into it, but that you got a good system to help people feel comfortable about deciding to take you on. all of that, it means you need to be an ironclad type of person, or an iron cast person that can solidly handle rejection and be able to overcome it without feeling negatively affected by them. Now, that's easier said than done. And I've been in the field for now about 12 years. I still do it on a weekly and sometimes even daily basis, business development activity. And I just want to make sure that as you get ready for this type of thing, that you are prepared to do all it takes, because it is not an easy role. However, it is a role that demands leadership. And I firmly believe that more companies need excellent BDMs more than ever. The best BDMs will be paid lots of money. They will be cheered and applauded. They will be received as heroes, and they are responsible for building businesses from the ground and helping the company grow, get more people on board, feed more mouths, feed more families, and have an impact in the wider community, if not globally. That's where BDMs kick in. So if you are that type of person that is prepared to become a leader in your industry and to do what it takes to make things happen, the more people you help to feel comfortable about taking on your services, your products, your expertise, your company, and so on, the more you will thrive as a BDM. And then only you are really, the BDM role is the right profession for you. So having that all out of the way, 11 minutes into it, Bram. All right, let's now jump into those very things in terms of how to write your cover letter and your resume. There's a few things that I'd like to share with you. We've known out of extensive research over the last more than a decade, in terms of my personal business called Lagrou Partners, we have extensively interviewed and assessed people in a variety of BDM roles, whether they are in professional services, financial services, technology companies, cleaning companies, franchise organizations, you name it. We've seen it and pretty much touched everything. Recruitment, real estate, we've seen it and touched all of it. And it's funny, but in most of those organizations, there is a specific ideal profile or a template of success that we know up front before people come in. And that profile here and there is slightly different for different industries, but most of the time it is pretty much the same. There is a common denominator, which means, ideally speaking, you would fit in that common denominator, because that would means that your personal and psychological makeup is the right fit for the role. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are sitting in on this and you're watching this video, either now or later on, you want to make sure that this job is going to give you fulfillment, because without it, if you cannot put in your passion in it, not just a day or two or a week or a few months, but year in, year out, it is not meant for you. And so it is not an easy feat, and it is not meant for everybody. But having said that, assuming that it is the right fit for you, right, let's now see what you need to do. Most of the time when we look for this perfect BDM roles, we know that people are fast-paced individuals. They are more big picture like people. They like people and they like to get results. They are people who have a sense of urgency. They know what time means and how valuable it is. And sometimes they would be more people-orientated, sometimes a bit more task-orientated, but they typically are either high I's in terms of DISC or a combination of I and D. Those are the typical things that recruiters will look for in the ideal BDM. The second thing that they will be looking for is that you will be highly, how would I say, motivated by two major factors. Now, we know that there's a lot of things, a lot of incentives that can, or motivators that can get people excited about stepping into a role and giving it all they've got. And if we look at all those different factors, we know that for most people, money is really one of the last few things, because most people, they like to, have a fulfilling job. They want to be valued and respected. They want to have interesting work and the likes. They want to work in a nice environment with good colleagues and the likes. With a BDM, it's quite different. Here, we know that the best BDMs, they have a utilitarian motivator, being driven by money, as one of the major motivators for them to thrive in the role. So it would be either on first or second, which means in a way, this is what people will be looking for within your sort of your paperwork, your resume and your cover letter. They will be looking for these kind of cues. If you are a fast-paced, enthusiastic, cheerful, upbeat, positive type of person that can easily put yourself out there inside of different environments, rapidly changing and the likes, this is what they will be looking for first. Secondly, do you have what it takes in terms of being driven by the right thing? And again, the top one or second motivator would be that you're driven by money. That it means that you are not going to, say, oh, it's 5 o'clock today. Let's just, even though I still haven't made enough sales today, I'll just stop. They want to make sure that you understand that because you are paid based on commission. Some people are based on commission only. Because your salary is dependent on it, you will say, you know what, even though it is 5 o'clock, and because I haven't got my budget yet, I will still continue until I do. This is a type of mindset that they will be reading for and scanning through everything that you send them, including in your interviews later on if you were to be successful past round 1. The third thing they will be looking for is obviously that you got some experience in the field. Whether you have already done previous roles successfully and got a track record in it, or if this is your first time around in a business development role because you just graduated from uni, they will be looking for an entrepreneurial, industrious, proactive spirit, not just somebody that waits for things to come, but that is actually about to create it themselves. They will be looking for examples of you being a volunteer or somebody who initiated a project and built it and just continued it until it was successful. Whether you have, started little side businesses, or whether you combined study with a role that was already, pretty much in that sort of high rejection, high relationship-driven environment. All of these things they will be looking for. So you need to make sure that you put it into those very sheets of yours. The cover letter is obviously the first one where that needs to be reflected. And in a way, you need to think about it. When you are going to be compared to more than 100 or several hundred people, it's your job to stand out. How good of a business development manager can you be if you cannot sell yourself successfully on paper, right? One thing now I know that a lot of recruiters, particularly recruiters, have a very skeptical eye for is mistakes in writing, grammar and spelling errors. So you need to make sure that your first paper presents yourself in the best possible light. So it needs to be perfectly correct. The second thing, again, then onwards is, again, as you are selling yourself, you need to find a way to, interpret the job description in such a way that you can almost anticipate what other people will do, and you need to anticipate what the vast majority of people will do, so that you can do what the recruiters are looking for, and slightly differentiate yourself from those others, but still making sure that you hit the mark. And one way of doing this is a great idea. It's called the CPA. It's a concept that I developed, and it's called the copy-paste approach. Now that means if in a job description that you found online or in a newspaper or like a professional magazine relating to the industry that you like to work in, when you are there, or even elsewhere, a recruitment agency, if you are looking at that page, there will be specific words that are written throughout, and those very words are called keywords. Now we know from a psychological perspective that whoever wrote that job description has got a certain way of thinking. And again, thinking back at DISC in terms of terminology, to still keep it simple, either one of those recruiters will be in either one of those 4 quadrants of thinking styles. That means you need to find a way to put yourself in the same quadrant of thinking styles, so that the recruiter, as they read through your documentation, see yourself as an equal. And you can only do that and achieve that in writing by using the copy-paste approach. So meaning use their keywords in phrases that you come up with to ensure that you got a perfect fit between your language and their language. So you need to be one of them rather than, one of the others that the recruiters would be looking at. The more you are like the recruiter in a way in your language, the better it is. So for example, if the job ad says, we're looking for an upbeat, highly energetic and self-motivated individual, make sure that you use those very same words in your cover letter and your resume. Because if you were to say, I'm very dynamic and I'm inspired and motivated to give all my best, even though, yes, I had the motivated in it, all of the other words are very different words, which means they may not perfectly fit the same thing as what the recruiter is looking for. And in a way, you need to be a bit of a parrot. The more you are a bit of a parrot, but in a way then also with a good application to it, the easier it is for you to sell yourself successfully on paper. And your first objective as you are writing your papers, as you are putting in the time to create it customized for each job that you're looking for, right? And I'll come back to that one in a moment. You need to ensure that that time is helping you to get to the next stage. That's your objective. So from going from the paperwork and the tendering machine and the sausage factory, you want to go to the next round, which is interviews, face-to-face contact, in which you then suddenly not just have words on paper, but also people can look at you, they can see your, your posture, they can hear your voice, whether you got a pleasant voice, whether you got a good energy about you, that sort of stuff. That's when you suddenly have more goodies to convince them that you are the right person for the role. So the first round is really pivotal. Now, I hear sometimes or see a lot of people that think, let's just use a scattergun approach. There's so many roles that take my fancy. I've got 20 of them, and let me just make one resume, one cover letter, and just change the person's name at the front, and let's just send it all to all of them because it's all the same sort of role. Mistake, big mistake. I can guarantee you that that approach will get you nowhere, because let's just be honest, whenever you are looking for something that other people could give to you, would you like to be, to receive the, do you like the bulk approach, meaning you're just being treated as a number? Or do you like something that is bespoke, that is carefully crafted, and that is so convincing because the fit is perfect, that what you've got to bring is what they got to bring is the right fit for what you're looking for? Would you like to be inspired that way? Or do you appreciate the bulk shotgun approach instead, being treated like a number? Of course, we all know that it's that bespoke, carefully crafted, in a way, the business development leader approach that we all appreciate. And so that's why you need to put in the time. I remember the principal of the school when I graduated in Belgium, that when he had his end of year address to our class, the first thing, his words will stick to my mind always. It was such a pivotal message that he brought to us. He said, remember kids, when you go out there in the world, applying for a job is a job in itself. Now, what's the point of this story is that you need to ensure that you put in the right time. You cannot think that you can get away with a part-time role or investments in terms of finding the dream job for you. You need to really work it. It's your full-time job to land the job of your dreams and convince all the parties involved that you are the right one for them. All right. You will then, later on, you will then also negotiate about how much money you want to make. Guess what? That's where your salesmanship, your professional negotiation skills completely come into play. And all that process, everything in there shows whether or not you will be made up for the role. So again, first step is getting the paperwork done and really done well. Now, I think I've already covered quite a bit of it. Now, just in recap, I want to make sure that we also have some time for some questions. 25 minutes into it, it's a big topic, so there's only so much we can obviously handle in 25 minutes. But I will have some time here for you to, have some questions that you can ask me about anything that relates to selling yourself for a role or anything else, and how to, craft your documentation in order to sell you or your services or your products really well. All right. So that's ask me the question. I'll get back to it. In recap, make sure that before you even look at a BDM type of role, that it is the right fit for you. Because the point is, you're going to invest a lot of time if you really want to be good at BDMs. You can make a lot of money. You can help a lot of people. You can make a big impact in this world by being a BDM. But what's the point if it won't make you happy? So you need to ensure that that you are the right type of person for that environment. Make sure that you prepare your documentation to reflect what the people always are looking for, which is high energy, big picture, fast-paced, urgency-orientated, results-orientated, driven by money, and having the sort of expertise and background that proves that you can handle rejection, that you can, put yourself on the line, that you can feel comfortable in, everly changing environments, and have a lot of, let's say, people sort of contact with complete strangers, and that you can develop something successful out of that. Because meeting them is one thing, but having them trust you enough to give them have them give you their money and invest time in you and so on, and take you on, all of that also involves persuasion and influencing. So this is the sort of stuff they will be looking for. So you need to make sure that you're right at in. And again, make sure that you use the copy-paste approach to ensure that your language sounds and reads very similar to what the person who put the job applications together in the first place. So those are just a few ideas. Obviously, you can always ask me more questions later on as this video goes to YouTube. Just write me comments and questions below. Love to hear your feedback. Love to hear how you like this. And most importantly, also love to hear who is very, very successful with some of these things in order to get the job that you really want. So appreciate your time. Let's just now quickly go to the chat window and see what sort of questions we have. Let's have a look. So any questions? Ooh, look at that. We've got a blank page at this stage. Geez, I'm so good in terms of explaining myself. All right, few more minutes. So guys, please type away if every question, any question you have at this stage, I can answer it for you right away. Otherwise, I appreciate, again, always your time as always. I hope it was helpful here. And again, type your stuff away, your comments, your questions below the video later on, so that I can also come back to you and yeah, just hear what all the great things you're doing in the land of business development. It's great to be a leader in business development. I love the profession, and I really respect people in that role tremendously. It's easy to come up with an idea. It's easy to come up with a product, but you know what? It's the business development leaders that build businesses, that build communities, and that help entire communities thrive economically speaking as well. So it's up to you and me to make it happen. Appreciate your time again. Nothing is coming through at this stage, so that's okay. Appreciate your time. All the best. Have a good day. Bye-bye.